to have you all here. So, I would really like to know in chats, like, from which area of stream you are in, and like, what are you guys doing? Like, majority of you, like, are you in AI development, chatbot development, or NLU, or DevOps, or anything in the tech? If you could just add it in the chats. Oh, cybersecurity. We are having so many fields. I guess right now. That's okay. Tyler, it will be really great to have connected you on LinkedIn after the workshop. Okay, thanks. Thanks for that. All right, then I see most of you are from the tech base. So yeah, it's really great. And we have director of software engineer. Wow, that's really awesome, Arthur. So yeah, so now I can start with the workshop. Let me see if I can share my screen, and we'll be having a look at a basic introduction about the chatbots and how they are overall developed and what's behind it. So let me just share my screen and see if it is visible. Let me know if you guys are able to see my screen, and I'll just present this. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So in this chatbot workshop, the current agenda is like to understand what are chatbots. I have added it in part one and part two, where the first part will be a bit of theory. I hope it's not boring. Like, if it gets boring, we'll have some kind of activity we can do in between. So, in the part one, we'll have a look at what are chatbots, different kind of bots. Then what kind of chatbot frameworks are in current market and what we can use. Then there's also area which we would like to see is understanding intents. What are entities? Then overviewing NLU and also what is NLP? A basic overview of NLP. In the part two, it will be a complete hands-on. We'll have a look at installation process, then initializing the project, adding some kind of training data, which will help us to gain more accuracy in the chatbot. And then we'll be configuring the pipelines. And there's also a few more things which we'll be adding in between, like adding reminders, using other features of Rasa. And then at the end, we'll be integrating with website and having a chat with a chatbot, a final proper developed chatbot. So yeah, I hope you all are excited and we can get started. Yeah. If you have any doubts, you can definitely ask in between, but I'll try to answer them in the few gaps of my explanation. But yeah, feel free to ask any kind of doubts. So let's get started with part one. Here we would like to understand what is chatbot. So basically, they are also known as virtual assistants, but uh, like it gets confusing with the virtual assistant in person. Like I can also be a virtual assistant, and even if I'm not a chat. So it, what happens is in chatbot, like it is an artificial AI designed to chat, or you can also say like it's a program designed to have conversation on internet on the messaging platform. And currently, you might have seen a boom with it, like by ChatGPT, Bard, and all those things. So much running in background, and they are helping with all the development which we do. And sometimes we also use ChatGPT or Bard. I haven't used Bard, but I have used ChatGPT for my development purposes, like asking some kind of query or if I get some kind of error with it. So I guess you might have also used it somewhere, and they really like use a pipeline where they use text classification and NLP models or LLM models with it. Yeah, these are chatbots, and there are different kind of chatbots which I would like to share here. So in the level one, I hope you guys are able to read this particular lines, or else I could zoom in. I guess if I zoom in, it will be more clear. Is it, Emily?
If
Please
you
do guide me.
zoom, it's larger. If you don't zoom, we can read it. It's just a little bit on the smaller side, but
Okay.
still able to read it.
Okay, okay, that's fine then. So in a level one, I guess you might be familiar with this a lot because it's been out since ages. So it's a friendly reminder chatbot, which just a notification chatbots which come along with like SMS. If you have some kind of recharge plan or insurance, which is going to expire in some few days, so it will just give you a notification like, hey, your insurance expires in 2 days. Would you like to renew it or something like that? So they are known as level one. And then there is this level two assistant, which are directly just FAQ questions, like they are rule-based questions where they are easily able to answer whatever question you can ask, but it might not be able to answer the dynamic ones. Like if you ask them how much does shipping cost, or they will be able to answer it. But if you are trying to ask them like I had added my order previously, so how long will it take for it to reach at my place? So it is quite dynamic. So it becomes a contextual assistant, which is a level three. So here you can see one example where it says like how many hours of exercise do you daily? So as per the context, the user answered the question, and then after that, the contextual assistant was able to ask the another question. So we'll have a look at this contextual assistant, and we'll also be making it a part of it. So yeah, I'm really excited to show you how this works. And then there are personalized assistants. In this personalized assistant, what happens is, let's say you have ordered some kind of let's say electronic device from Amazon. So you also want to think of as what if you get some kind of offer on it, a personalized offer which is not available for anywhere or anyone. So this is what contextual assistant becomes personalized assistant when they start to use your history of search or anything which might help you out in giving your offers or personalized suggestions based on your search, your data, whatever you would like to add in there. So yeah. And then there are autonomous organization of assistant. This becomes a quite complex area of assistant. Like there are n number of assistant, regardless of their domain, and they are working in back to answer each and every question which you would like to answer. So I guess we are a bit in that area right now because level four or level 4.5 is somewhere around ChatGPT, and I'm not sure if I would like to give it a level, but it's somewhere near level five. So yeah, right. Let's have a look at chatbot frameworks and platforms which are currently available. So there are multiple platforms. I just added few which I am familiar with. I have used Dialogflow, IBM Watson. I haven't used Instagram, but I have heard about it and WordPress, and I also use Rasa. So I would like to do a quick comparison with all of them. Dialogflow is provided by Google, and they have added some new features which I'm currently not familiar with, are very new features right now. Then there's IBM Watson. They both are service based. So like if you want to use them, you have to pay some few bucks and then you can use it. And also there are few features that you can use completely for free. So yeah, that's how currently it works. Also, you won't be able to fully customize anything if you want to, but in Rasa, you will be able to customize each and everything. Like it's open source. So I guess if you want to add some kind of tweaks, you can. If you want to add some kind of uh, integrations which is not currently present in Rasa, you can definitely use this open source library, and then you can just add some kind of tweaks there. So that's the reason why I started with Rasa. So let me share my journey. Like why I started and why I selected Rasa. With that, I'm not gonna promote it, but just sharing it because it seems easy to develop chatbots with Rasa instead of using Dialogflow or IBM Watson because it becomes quite difficult to add some kind of customization or add some kind of integration with it. So what happens is in Rasa directly, if I want to integrate my database with it, I can directly integrate with some kind of code I can write in Python. In the actions file, there's a section called as actions, which is completely in Python. Whatever you can write or develop in Python, you can do it with Rasa. It's like that. I'll be getting it there in the hands-on section. So I'm keeping it like safe and sound in there. Yeah. Now, understanding intent. So we in the conversation right now also we are using intentions behind each and every sentence we speak. So right now, whatever I'm speaking is to explain you in the workshop like how chatbots are developed and how conversational AI can be developing with using Rasa. So now here also in the chatbot there are intentions. Chatbots also needs to understand what kind of intentions the user is having and what answer they can provide. So to understand intentions, there are intents. So right here, if I can highlight it, there are greetings and they come in two different sentences. Hi, how are you? Then there is good evening. They both are greetings, but in a different way of manner. You can also say, hey Dishant, how are you? Like that. So it adds name with it. So I'll get back to the name part, but yeah. Now there's bill payment. If you want to pay an electricity bill, you have to type like I want to pay my electricity bill or can you please pay my electricity bill. So it becomes a different intention, bill payment. And currently I'm explaining you about intents. So it becomes understanding intents or explaining intents like that. The name becomes like that. Now, if I want to add some kind of value or data to it, how it will look like, there comes the part of entity. So right here you can see the highlights of it, like the name, amount, and bill type. And right here in the greetings, you can see, hey Dishant, good morning Dishant. So if the chatbot says something, the chatbot knows my name and he is directly responding to me like, hey Dishant, how are you? So right here, there's become entities. Entities are values which are captured from the user data or they are being processed to send to the chatbot and the chatbot processes it and gives information back to the user. So this information can be captured directly from the user message or users responses which they might give. So right here, if the user says, I want to pay my electricity bill with 500 rupees. So right here, there are two entities which we are going to capture. First is electricity bill, which is a electric, which is a type of bill they want to pay. It could be a gas bill or it could be a credit card bill. We don't know about it. So it's easier to have multiple usage of same intention and we can use the intentions with other entities too. So right here we can have the amount which is currently highlighted in red and the amount can also have currency type. So if I want to differentiate this with uh, with two different entities, now like there will be one sub entity and another sub two entity. So right here 500 will be amount and then rupees will be currency. So it's like that. I hope you are able to understand it. If you are, please respond yes in the chat, and no, you can definitely ask any kind of questions you have in between. Because currently, for a beginner, if you are a beginner or having some doubts, you can definitely ask. Because intent entities are important topic which I would like to cover here, as they are core in while building a chatbot. So I don't want you to have any kind of doubts in between while developing the assistant. You can directly ask right now if you have any. Should I check the chat? There are any. See if I can check the chats. Someone yep. All right. I see three yeses. Where are everybody else? Like, are they with me or it's early morning for me? So I just got ready and got here. So I hope not no, others are not having this early morning kind of routine right now. I guess if you find it sleepy, let me know. We can have some activities. Alright. Alright. So let's get going. Now let's understand NLU. How does it work? So in NLU, if the user says I want to deposit some kind of money, there's some process going on behind the back. Like the chatbot processes it, but how does that process work? And they directly send us at, sure, please provide me the amount of money you want to deposit. So if I would have said I want to deposit 500 rupees to my bank account. So right here, I haven't mentioned my bank account. So now the process will happen in the background and then it will share me a response as, sure, please provide me your bank account. So instead of asking for amount of money, they directly asked for the bank account number. So now let's see what that particular process looks like. In that process, we also see NLP. So NLU is a part of NLP. I guess I can say it like that. But if we have an overview of NLP right now, if you want to use it, I can use this name, I guess. So yeah, it somewhat looks like this, but yeah, if we have dig deeper in this, this is just a no way to see if else, add it, and then this is the chatbot we have. Like this is a college or university project any student can make with this. So now let me give a brief overview on NLP. So it's a branch of AI, and there are also different kind of models and libraries which we can use to process the text. And I have seen using usage of neural networks for complex assistants. Like currently, we are building a healthcare assistant, which will really help towards mental health in chat all. So in there, we also have used different kind of models which I might not be able to share the names of. So yeah, and there are also few methods which are being used in NLP quite a lot right now. The first one is NLTK. It's a library which has been used for capturing and using a text formatting. I guess I'm not getting the proper word for it. I'm really sorry about it. But yeah, there is also tokenization. In tokenization, what happens is you break down the whole sentences into word. It becomes a word tokenization. If you want to break down it into sentences, it becomes sentence tokenization. So those are part of tokenization. Then there is bag of words. Bag of words and post tagging go side by side because post tagging is part of speech tagging to know if that particular word or that particular pair of word is a noun, adjective, or adverb or any kind of part of speech which you would like to understand to respond to the user or to understand their intentions or sentiment analysis. And NLP has been used in multiple places apart from usage in chatbot because NLP is a wide area which covers sentiment analysis. And also there are also social media apps which use it for fake news detection, abusive language detection, and also they use it for personalized feeds which they would like to give to the user. Yeah, that's where NLP comes in to picture. So now about the NLU, I'll be showing a Rasa area where like how this NLU part works. So let me just share that particular screen and stop this. Let me see if I could do that. Just a minute. Just let me know if you would be able to see my screen once I'm able to share it. Just a minute. Yes, that's how it works. Let's see if you are able to see it. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen where it is written what is Rasa?
Yes, I can see what is Rasa.
All right, that's really good. So now let's understand how this NLU process works. But before understanding how this NLU process works, let's understand what is Rasa, on which we're going to build the chat assistant. So it's a chatbot framework or a tool library which we can use to build chatbots. And it's also an open source chatbot platform which where you can directly add conversational AI flows. Like if you have anything in your mind, like this is greetings, you should respond with greet, and then whatever user asks, you can go ahead with it. And then you can also connect with it with messaging platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or Instagram is currently new to it. I have developed integration with Instagram, but yeah, you can also use it in Telegram and also with your own website. There are multiple platforms which you can integrate with. So yeah, you can explore however you want. Then there are also customized and dynamic responses, which we'll have a look at in the development process. And it's a really amazing way. I'll be showing you for reminders and all these things. Like if you want to ask few questions in the contextual manner. So yeah, I'll be showing you that. Then a basic architecture of Rasa. So let me give a quick overview of this. There is a cloud server, there's Rasa server which is currently running, there's database server, and there's a website widget which you have currently. So now, whatever user types here in the web widget, it goes to the cloud server, it checks in the Rasa the endpoint which has been present. It gets there, detects and predicts what the response is and what it has to respond back. And if there is any kind of conversation processing which is going on, it will happen in there. And in the part of that conversation AI process, there's also part which comes in storing all the conversation in the database. So it queries to the database, it stores it, and get back and answers it. So let's have a look at the overview in Rasa, like what happens actually in Rasa. So this is what happens actually in Rasa. There are multiple areas which you'll be seeing right now. Don't have to focus too much or don't get confused or get distracted with so many names. So let's focus on this area first. The big box right here present, which has dialog policy, NLU pipeline, agent, and all those things. And also this input output channels. So input output channels is nothing but this messaging channels, which we saw there. Now the input output channels send us the message, which directly goes into the agent. Agent then processes it. It's like a main area of transaction which is happening everywhere. Like it's a cash counter where it will check if you want to withdraw cash or if you want to deposit a cash. It's like that. You can have multiple things going on with this agent and it will respond you with each and every query you want. So now the agent gets a message. It knows how to process it. So it sends it to NLP pipeline to predict what kind of intention the user is having. Let's say user said, hi Dishan or hi chatbot, I would like to go ahead and pay my bill of this much amount. So now NLP pipeline processes it like what the user said. And at that moment, we get to know that user wants to pay a bill and not hi as a greeting. So because I said hi, it doesn't mean that it has to be greeting. And the bot should respond, hi Dishant. Yeah, sure, I can move ahead. So now, right here, the chatbot should say it in a conversational manner. So it should know like what kind of response the chatbot has to send. So it goes back, sends the confidence of that particular intention, and the agent decides to send it to dialog policies. What are dialog policies? Dialog policies, it's quite simple to understand because of the name of it. Like it has to predict what kind of response it has to send. So now dialogue needs to be decided like what chatbot has to send to the user. Now the confidence of that particular intention comes in, and then the dialog policy will decide what response it has to send. It could be a Python code which has to be ran, or it could be directly a simple response like, "Hi Dishan, sure, please go ahead and give me your credit card number, anything which you might go ahead to pay that. Now the agent got all this data. It will capture this data and send it to tracker store. I'll explain you tracker store. Please don't be worried about it. Log store, we won't be looking at in a major level. I'll be giving you some overview about it. And the file system, we'll have a look at it, like the model's training data, because models and training data are a very crucial part of chatbot, because this is where all the data is. An agent is able to know because of that particular training which has happened on the chatbot. And now, right, you can see there's also Rasa SDK. This is a Python server which is going to run separately from a Rasa server. I'll explain each and every bit on the hands-on part. Please don't worry about it and don't get confused in anything. If you think like, if you have any kind of doubts right now for Rasa SDK or this particular box which is currently there for Rasa, don't worry. We'll have a hands-on and then I'll explain each and every. Okay. Now, in the in Rasa, there are key important features I'd like to focus more on: slots, pipeline components, forms, entity, and action. This important feature are crucial or important because of their area and the work they do for us. Slots are basically known as memory of the whole assistant. Pipeline components define how the chatbot will be working and how it will be responding to the user message. Forms, as you can understand, it can be used for contextual way of getting all the questions and capturing all the values. Entities are used for capturing values from the sentences what user says. And then there are actions, which is completely dynamic, however you want to use in Python. Like whatever you can code in Python, you can do in actions. That's a simple way to understand it. So now I would really like to ask, if you have any doubts, you can directly ask me right now. We are going to move on the initialization part, which is completely hands-on. So if you have any kind of doubts, or if you want to grab a water, coffee, you can directly grab it until and unless I set up my screen for the hands-on purpose. All right, let me. All right, so let's hop back into the installation. Right here, we are going to use Conda, or you can also use virtually NV or pip NV or Poetry, whichever environment or package you want to use for installation purposes. We definitely need a virtual environment. It is really crucial because what happens is when you add any kind of library in your base environment, it might conflict with your other packages or dependency of theirs. Because let's say Rasa uses X version of TensorFlow, and you have currently built a particular program or AI which uses Y version of TensorFlow. So it might give you some kind of error in your project, which might disrupt your whole area or demonstration when you want to have a demo of it. So yeah, I would really recommend to have a virtual environment, and you can definitely use Python 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, which you would like to use, apart from the latest one, which is, I guess, 3.11 or 3.12. So yeah, then you can name it as whatever you want to like to name. And I guess this particular command might work if you have Python 3.7 in your system of virtual env, but in Conda you don't need to have Rasa 3.7. in your installed in your machine to get a particular environment in there. So yeah, now initialize the environment and then do pip install Rasa. I have already done all this, so I guess I can directly move ahead with the initialization part. So now I can go directly into my terminal and then sorry, shift this zoom screen to another screen. I can work. Yep, that's good. Now, as you can see right here, there's some kind of logs going on. This is completely the installation of Rasa, which happened earlier right now while I was explaining you all the theory about it. Now, I've already installed Rasa, but let me give you a quick overview of it. So, let me just zoom in if I could. Yeah, I guess so. Is this visible or should I zoom in a bit? Because terminal becomes quite small when it comes to screen sharing. I guess this is visible. Emily, can you please confirm it?
Hi, so sorry, Dishant. I was replying to a chat DM. What can you ask the question one more time?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So I was just asking if the screen is visible and it is readable. Is it? Or should I
Yes,
zoom
it's
in a bit more?
visible and readable. Your dialog box you have open, it looks like there's just a little bit that's cut off on the edge, but otherwise we can see, I would say 85% of that screen and it's legible.
Okay. Okay, okay, then it's fine. Yeah, thank you so much. Now, right here, can let me highlight that particular part. This pip install Rasa 3.5.5. So currently Rasa has version of 3.6 or something. I'm not sure. I haven't used it for a while, so I'm not sure if that is stable version. I have used Rasa 3.5 and 3.4 currently very much in production as well. So you can definitely use this the stable version. And if you have any kind of bugs which you might see, you can definitely ask in while installing it in chat directly. So yeah. All right then. So let me try to share you command which will help you out in creating the environment. I've already created the environment named as Rasa env, so I don't have to create it again. Let me just share the command. I used Python 3.8.13 as I'm really used to using minor versions of it. So yeah, I also add the minor versions number right here. So now I'd like to highlight this particular command. If you want to create any environment, make sure you have miniconda or anaconda, whichever it is. The name is conda for both of them, whichever you use. So now, just after it, add create, then double dash name, add the name of your environment, and add the Python version which you'd like to have. Now I already have each and everything present. I just have to set up the project. So the command which I'll be running is rasa space init, which will help me out to initialize my project. It will ask few questions. Please do follow it so that you don't get confused. It's not like so much tricky questions which Rasa will be asking, so don't worry about it. Right here, it is asking me for where exactly I want to add my project. So I can also add it in my current directory, which I'm going to do as it is currently present in workshop folder. So I just directly want to add it in there. I'll click on enter. If I click on enter, it will directly add it. And then it will ask me if you want to train my model. So let me show you. I don't recommend you to train it right now because we still have time to train it. Right now, I'll train it to show you like how the training work looks like in a view. So yeah, let me grab some more. By then this particular training happens, I'd like to go in my Finder and open this particular project. Let me go back, open where is, yeah, right here. So right here you can see there are multiple files which are currently present after initializing the project. So I'd like to open the all the files which is currently present in there. And now I'm currently using PyCharm. You can use whichever code editor if you want to use. I would really recommend PyCharm for this because it really helps to have it Python configuration done here. Right here in the bottom, for me this is in bottom. It might not be the same for Windows user or Linux user. I'm not familiar currently with it. So right here you can add a new interpreter which you have currently initialized from the terminal. So let me check if this is present in the list. So right here you can see Rasa ENV and click on OK. It will load and do the indexing in each and everything. By then it does it. Let me show you the training which happened here, right here. So you can see multiple names coming up of each and every featureizer classification models. So right you can see regex featureizer will get all back to it all the pipeline components. You can see there are also training percentage which has been shown for each and every policy which has been trained on, and then it says your Rasa model is trained and saved at this particular file folder. And now it says if you want to speak with your train assistant, this will only happen if you train it. If you don't train your model, then you won't be getting this particular question itself. It will directly just, if I click on N, it will directly just get out of that particular initialization process. That's it. If you want to chat with the assistant, make sure you train it and then do run Rasa shell. We'll get back to that flip part. Don't have to worry about it. Now, let me give you an quick overview of all the file structure this has. So, right here, let's see, go to screen. So, yeah, now there are multiple folders which you can see and multiple files you can see. Don't worry about it. It's really easy to understand. Right here, you can see in the data folder. First, let's get into data. So it has NLU. What does NLU contain? It contains all the training data which you'd like to have. Also, a quick note here, NLU can be a folder. I'll be showing you how to do that. And also, this all three of the files can be a folder and it can contain multiple n number of files you can have depending on your project and the scope of it. Then there are rules. I'll explain your rules in a bit. Then there are stories. This rules and stories are similar to getting a flow of the assistant, like what should be answered after what question has been asked. Then there are actions. Action contain Python files, a Python code. I'll show you how to write it and what actions can be used in this. Then this config.yaml. This is really critical place where you can add any kind of models, classification models or featureizers, which will help you. Or also, one more note here is you can also use entity extractors, which will help you to develop more good assistant where you can capture the values from the user messages. Then there are policies. You can also check that there are two different categories here, like this pipeline, there's policies. What does it mean? I'll explain you in bit. Don't worry about it. Then there are domains. This is also known as universe of the assistant because here each and everything will be present. There are intents, intent names, then there are responses which has to be answered. Then also we'll be adding slots entities. I'll explain you what are slots entities directly from the Rasa docs. So you don't have to worry about not able to understand the Rasa documentation. I'll directly explain using the references from Rasa documentation. Also, there is Rasa test. So you can definitely use for a simple stories where you are not using action. But if you are using actions, then there's no use of this test stories. So most of the time, developers are not using these test stories. They directly just chat with the assistant and get to know like if it is working properly or not. And that's the major area I to work on. So yeah. Then do you guys remember when we looked at the Rasa architecture? There was also model slash train data. So this is where the model stays. So it is a target unzip. It consists, if I extract it and check it, what it consists of, it has NLU and core. So previously in Rasa, there were two different separations like NLU and core. It is still present here. So what does NLU contain and what does core contain? Core consists of rules, stories, which define the flow of the assistant. It also consists of domain. So a part of domain, not the whole domain, where this responses are part of core, intents are part of NLU. NLU consists of entities, intents, synonyms, and also regex or anything which is similar to string data. So that's how the difference works here. And also in the config.yml, there are NLU and core. So when I mentioned you that I'll be coming back at, this is the time which I was mentioning to. So when I said NLU and core, this is what I meant. Pipeline is NLU, policies is core. And previously, like around 2020 or 2019, Rasa was just two different servers which you have to run along. Like you have to get NLU code in your machine, you have to run it. You have to get the core code in your machine, a different package or library. You have to run it in different server. But currently, it has become quite easy because at that time it was quite a headache for any kind of developer to develop a chatbot using Rasa. But yeah, it was a really like 0 point something stage of Rasa. Yeah, it was quite early stage. Yeah. So right here in the pipeline, you can definitely see the name. There's a key and values here. So the white space tokenizer, regex featureizer. I'm using if I'm using too many big words, don't worry about it. They are very easy and you don't have to worry about how they work or like if you want to go deep inside, you can definitely learn about AI more and machine learning so that you can use this particular models and also you can like tweak if you want to do anything. I'll also show you how you can do it at the end of this particular session so that you can get a deeper idea like if you want to do any kind of customization or you want to contribute in Rasa, how you can do that. Then there's classifier, which is direct classifier. This has been used for classifying all the intents. And also there are entity symbol mappers. So how does this work? So if you let's say you want to get acronyms or directly the country name from the user. So what happens if the user gives you an acronym? You should know that it is a country name, correct? So at that moment, if the user says, I currently reside in United States. So it's a short form for United States of America or USA. So it's a synonym for each and every word. So you can if you define the synonym, it might be easier for bot to understand the different kind of words if the user mentions it. And also, user can say IND for India instead of saying India directly or any other word which might relevant the country name. So yeah, there are n number of things you can add here. We'll also have a look at entity abstraction models, which we'll be using here. Then there is also fallback classifier. How does this fallback classifier work, and what is actually a fallback classifier? Let's say if you have not added some kind of training data, which user said, let's say your bot is for ordering electronic devices. But user comes in and says, I'd like to order pizza. So will you be able to answer it? No. So bot has to handle it in a conversation manner. Like the bot can say, I'm really sorry about it. I am not made for ordering pizza. I can guide you to a pizza restaurant which might help you out or pizza bot which might help you out. But currently, if you need any kind of help with ordering any kind of electronic device, I can help you with. That's how the conversational AI works in the fallback manner. So it has to a graceful one. It shouldn't say like the most of the assistants say right now. Sorry, I wasn't able to understand. If anything happens, sorry, I wasn't able to understand. That becomes quite frustrating for the user as a conversational AI designer. That user might not use your assistant in future because it becomes quite frustrating for them on each and every question they do, it just answers the same question, same answer about it. So yeah. So now let's get back to the development process. I got too much into theory. Yeah. And data, we're going to develop assistant which will have reminders, and also it will capture few information of the user daily routine. So to capture those daily routine, we will first create a directory named as NLU. Inside NLU, we'll just move our NLU.yml into the folder so that Rasa knows that this is where all the train data is currently there. Now, in the NL.yml, we will have this general data which is currently present, like greet, goodbye, affirm, deny. But we don't need a mood great or mood unhappy right now as such. We can use bot challenge in later phases, but not right now. So I'll be removing bot challenge. Mood unhappy and mood great will be using a few like moments ahead. Now we want to add our own intent. How should I add it? So directly, there's a format for adding intent. You just let me zoom in a bit so you can see it. Intent, and then the name of the intent. What can be the name of an intent? It can be like saying a place reminder where user can ask to the assistant, "I want to be reminded about something at this particular time." So in the examples, and then make sure to add pipe icon here. User can say, "Can you please remind me to water plants?" So right here, water plants becomes an entity. So right here, how to add entities in Rasa? This is how you can add. And then in the parentheses, you can add the name of it. So we can name it as task at, let's say, 5 p.m., something like that, similar to it. Now, this can be time. In this particular sentence, we have added two entities, but user can also say just one entity. How to handle it? Let me show you. You can say remind remind me to wake up at remind me to wake up. Just that. That's it. If you just say this much, it becomes a task. Here, chatbot has to ask at what time do you want me to wake you up? This becomes a part of the conversation, yeah, with where the bot will be asking whatever the value is missing. Now, right here, I have to add a few more training data. I'll just add it and get back. Till then, you can ask any kind of doubts. Right now, you have. Yeah. The more data you add, the more good your assistant becomes in this particular topic. Currently, the minimum requirement of this to get triggered is three or four, max to max four. You can add it. Remind me, just that. You can also directly just say it, remind me, then it will get triggered and it will ask you the answers which are not present currently in the entities. So now we added the intent. Let's move ahead and add slots, forms, and entities. Right here in the domain, if I zoom in, you can see the responses. Just above the responses, add a few line breaks and add slots. How they work? Let me go to our Chrome, right? Start. Now in the domain, let me see where are slots. Right. If you're not able to see it, let me know. Is it visible? All right.
Yes.
Now, thanks, Emily. There are multiple types of slots present in Rasa, which will help you to create a good kind of assistant. What are the types of the slots? The first type is text, which will obviously capture anything you send it to. Then there's Boolean slot, where if you want to have some kind of authentication, or let's say if you want to check if the user is logged in or uh, they have some kind of reminder already present in there, you can definitely use this particular slot, which is a type Boolean, just true or false values, which will capture. Then there's categorical slot. The categorical slot can be used in multiple ways. Let's say you have a chain of restaurants and you want to ask the user which kind of category they want to order or which kind of cuisine they want to order. You can have give them like cuisines in like a buttons type. They can click on it and they can just select it so that the entity directly gets captured instead of you have to use some kind of entity extractor for it. It's a simple way, simple hack to not use entity extractors. Yeah. Now you can add the values in here like low, medium, high, or the restaurant part you can add Chinese, North Indian, Thai, like that. This can be a category. Then there's also a category for float. So this is all a type of slot which you can use. This can be used for let's say capturing the amount of money or or probably for mathematical or educational chatbots which might help students for creating or developing mathematical problems or solving the mathematical problems. Depends completely. And there are list slots. Let me get back again to the restaurant example which I gave earlier. In the list slots, what happens completely is if you want to capture what food the user want to order, you can definitely use a list for it, like a shopping item or the items they want to order in a list. Then the any. So any can consist of anything which you want, like JSON or any coding formatted or like anything. It just says that correctly. These are the type of slot which can be used, and this is the format how you have to write a slot. So let's get back to the Python and then let me add a slot as amount. I guess it wasn't amount, it was task. Sorry about it. Yeah. Task type would be text, influence conversation. This particular attribute comes to picture when you want to use authentication purpose like Boolean or something, which will influence the whole conversation depending on the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, you can definitely go ahead with them ordering some kind of food. If they are not logged in, you can definitely ask them to log in and then move ahead to the ordering of their food. Yeah, right here this will be false for if you are using for another use case where you need this particular slot for influencing the whole conversation, then definitely make it true and I'll show you how you can use it. Mappings. This is something new which has came in Rasa 3.0, which was not currently present in the previous versions of it. So let me show it to you. What are this mapping right here? The slot mappings on Rasa, you can directly check the multiple types of mappings which are currently present. There are from entities, if you want to capture something from an entity. Then there are another area which is from intent. Like currently we do have from intent, but I'll show you how to use it in another way if you want. Then there is from text, like you directly want to capture whatever the user gives us and then process it how we want to in background. So you can definitely use from text like this. Then there is also from a trigger intent. What is trigger intent? We'll have a look at it, like what that particular trigger intent is, and we'll be also using that particular trigger intent for different purposes. Now let's get back and add the mappings. Let's see how is the format. This becomes quite confusing at a time. Like there are type and then a, a hyphen and then type, and above there's no hyphen directly a type. So make sure not to forget this hyphen because it might not train the model. Yeah. We currently will be using from entity, and the entity will be task. We also have to define this task as an entity. So just above slots, add few more spaces or few more libraries, add one more key as entities, and then present it as task right here. It's that simple. Now we also added one more uh, entity, which is also known as time. So just copy it. If you have a complex name, make sure to copy and paste it so that it is even in both the places. So you don't have to worry about the names of those entities. Then I added the entity. I can also mention intent if I want. Intent can be place reminder. Why I'm doing this copy paste? Mentioned it earlier how it works. So I'll just replace was challenge with place reminder. Now I can really duplicate this and then for time I can just replace time right here. So to avoid any kind of uh, time consumption, yeah, like can be quick. Right here we don't need this unnecessary responses. So I'll just delete it. You can also do so. There's not much work to do here. Now, to add a response, there are different ways to add a response right here. So now you can directly use utter underscore the name of the response, something like that, or happy. But right here, this will be a part of form. So how does this work? Let me show you. First, let's build a particular form. Now, in the forms, this is the key. Now you add the name of the form, like something like reminder, reminder form. Right here, there are section as required slots where you add the required slots, the name of the slots which you want. First is task, then is time. So you first ask the user what kind of task they want to do or they want to be reminded of. Then the time at which they want to be reminded at. Now, in utter, there's a format for the form's slots to be questioned. There is ask, then task right here. Now, in text, you add your response. There can be a text response, there can be a button response, there can be something as, let me show it to you directly. There can be an image response. Yeah, it is quite easy. In domain, just click on responses and it will send you directly to the responses section. So now, right here, you can see this particular section. I would like you all to look at. So in the utter greet, I can directly add a slot name and it will autofill it with whatever the slot has been filled with. So this way you can have some kind of personalization responses directly and easily. So right here, this is the template and the utter greet, and then you can directly have Sarah. This becomes a part of custom action. I'll get back to it in a bit once we are completed with the forms. Now let me show you a different kind of response which is currently present. Rest responses, you can see the buttons. Buttons have two attributes. First is title and then is payload. Title can be whatever text you want to make it visible on the button, like on the UI part. Payload is what has been sent back to the Rasa. So payload can be different from title, and you don't have to worry about it has to be similar or what should I keep a payload. Make sure to keep the payload something similar to the title. It shouldn't be like if you have are asking for grade, it shouldn't be sad. So just make sure about it. So now we'll be adding buttons to our text message. Right here, I'll ask, please select which kind of task you would like to be reminded of. And just below it, we'll add button. In buttons, we'll add title, what time plans. We are just keeping it a simple assistant where it won't be having much of open-ended area. You can definitely play along and add much more kind of task, or you can directly just use some kind of entity extractor directly with selecting or understanding what kind of task user wants to do. So right here, there's a one more method I would like to show you to trigger this particular messages with slash and then the intent name. This is place reminder answers. I can add this particular intent, and if I don't want to add any kind of data, it's just as simple as this. Now, in this particular brackets, I will add the slot name. What is the slot name? Task. And I will come up with that here. Make sure to add this so it's easier for you to directly use this. Now, the task. Inside a task, you just have to add whatever the value it has to capture. Just a minute. Watering plants like this. And let me just check if this is the correct format. If you want to have it, see. In case there's some issue here, let me check. If you want to check this is correct or not, you can directly check Rasa force intent payload format. Right here in the forum, you can directly see the various va- various responses related to the same. Let me just check if there is any kind of response mentioning how it looks like. If this might have, let's see. Yes, it doesn't have.
Quick time check that there's about 20 minutes left. If
Oh, okay.
anybody has questions, please drop them in the chat.
Thank you, Allison. At this time, we could also discuss the specific use cases if you think that would be a good area to turn to, Dishant.
Sure, definitely. In this particular use case, I would really like to focus on the training part of this, like how you can train this particular model. That quick way to add more features. Also, I would also like to go into actions first, so that our attendees can know like how to use it, because I was just focusing on forms and the task and the responses, which are major part of it. So now, as we have you added our own response right here, you can definitely add more responses by adding utter underscore r. But right now, we'll go back to the actions to add our time selection part. This is a quick way to add our action. There's already one action which is currently present in this particular file, which always comes along. We will have to add ask and then time. Right here, if you want to ask or if you want to respond any kind of message, you can use this utter message and then the text. So right here in the text, you can add any kind of text. Please provide me with a time when you want to be reminded. So right here in this particular text, you can add any text. Then there are buttons. If you want to add buttons, you can just type buttons and equals. It becomes a list of dictionaries. I guess most of our attendees might know about it. If if you're not familiar with, I would recommend to Google it and you'll able to know it. This is, and if you want to look at it, this is how the list of dictionaries come around. Title, 5 p.m. Payload can be anything you want, just like this. 5 p.m. All right. So if you want to duplicate it, you can directly duplicate and add on the buttons. So currently we don't need any kind of buttons for this particular text. If you want to use a proper message which is currently present in domain.yml, you can directly copy this, then add template as an attribute, which is this attribute is being used specifically if you want to use any kind of response which is currently present in domain.yml. So you can add the name of it and you can use it. So now this is the dispatcher utter message, and once we get all the timings and everything, we can have the reminder to be set. Now in the ask time, instead of ask, we'll add submit reminder form. Right here in this particular area, we'll be adding the reminder where we'll be reminding the user for for their own schedule. Okay. Reminder scheduled. This is what the name is. You have to import this name from Rasa SDK events, not from the core events. From Rasa SDK events, reminder schedule. How this works? You can directly click on it or hover it. You will be able to see n number of things which are currently present. You have to add the intent name. For this, the intent name has a syntax. You have to add external, make sure it is in capital and not has any kind of spelling mistake. External reminder, something like that. And then once you have added it, you can add the timestamp for it. So to get a timestamp, you can just get a timestamp, just a minute. All right, trigger date time. Let's go back to our docs and get the date time for it, get date time format. Previously, we just saw reaching out to the user. We just have to go there and get that particular code. Right, action.
Dishant, real quick, we did have a good, an interesting question in the chat, and Dave would like to know if this bot has the ability to pass a Turing test.
I guess no, because it is not so much human to pass a Turing test. As as you might know about Turing test, it is quite complex, right? So this is not at that particular level that it will pass the Turing test. You can also you can build an assistant which can pass a Turing test. So it completely depends on the developer who wants to develop it. So yeah,
Yeah, great.
I guess this answers your question.
Yeah, that's the only question we've got in the actual chat so far. But if there are people who have questions that they would like to ask, I would encourage you to throw it in the chat or even raise your hand or call out while we are just in a pause right now. And then just to let you know, Dishant, we have about 10 minutes left before we're going to start closing things
Q&A.
down here. But yeah, we would love to answer more questions if anybody has them.
Feel free to be brave and come off mute, folks. We'd love to hear your voice.
Yeah.
External reminder will add this particular intent directly in the intent section of domain, and then there is action. So here I added 5 minutes. I can also change it to 3 minutes depending on the time delta you want to have it. So right here, I have to return it. I have to return this reminder in the return statement or in the list of it. So yeah, this is the submit form. To add this particular action or to register them, you have to add one more key. Just you can add wherever you want to add actions and then the name of it. Make sure you copy and paste it. It's quite easy to make it simple and to avoid any kind of issues with this. So now let's add rules and stories for this. How we can use this? Let me show it to you. First, let's remove all the unnecessary rules we have. which might create an issue for us. Rule number one, which is activate reminder form. Right here in the steps, we'll add intent named as place reminder. Once this particular intent gets triggered, just after it, you have to add action. So what action it has to run? It is reminder form right here. Active loop. Active loop has reminder. Why this name comes up, like active loop? What is active loop actually? So active loop is a basic way to understand this whole form will be looped unless and until each and every slot has been filled. So right here, first it will ask for task, then it will ask for time. So if these are not filled, it will ask them again and again until and unless it has been filled, and there's no any other question which has to be asked. So rules, as you can understand by the name itself, if the user says this particular message like I want to be reminded, or the user says bye, you don't have to respond with hi or something like that. You just have to respond with goodbye. Yeah, so you can go ahead and ask any kind of questions. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Just real quick, asking a question on something that was a few minutes ago, but does the bool slot support auth0 or Okta authentications?
I guess no, because the Boolean slot automatically has to be filled with true or false. Like it cannot be have zero or other kind of values. I
So
guess that's
it's not
what
going and
you are referring to.
yeah. So it's not going and looking up some other service. It's a standalone authentication bool, 1 or 0, and that's it.
Yes, correct. And also one more thing I would like to refer to while you had asked this question, how this particular if you want to have it, you can just directly add it bool. That's how it works. And how you will be able to add it, I'll just show it to you directly in this actions, because if you want to capture it true or false, it won't be possible to have it in directly a chat. Like user can say anything to us, correct? So it becomes quite difficult for us to add it. So there is a particular event. Events are something which has to be triggered. There's this slot set which will help us to set a particular slot. So you have to add the name of it. Let's say time, it's a bool, and then you can add the value. This is how it works. Like if you want to add any kind of dynamic, or if you want to change any kind of values in your slots.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for a great question, as always, Arthur. One of the many reasons we love having you in all our virtual meetups. But Dishant, I don't want to have to end up cutting you off in the few minutes in the middle of you explaining another piece of this development. So I wanted to take now to start closing down the meeting and see if maybe anybody else had final questions that we could build
And
off of.
Emily, if you could give me 2 minutes, as I would like to stand off and add a few things here so that they might not be able to complete the assistant if I don't show it. So that's why.
Okay, sure thing. We have just under 10 minutes left, so just go ahead and add in those last few things, and then in probably about 5 minutes here, I'll give you another reminder, okay?
Sure. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you.
So now, if you want to complete a form, you need to have some kind of deactivate concept present in there. So right here, we have this deactivate reminder form where there is a attribute named as condition. So it will check if the active loop, currently the loop which is currently running is reminder form. And then if it is running, it will follow this particular step. So first, the active loop is reminder form. If the active loop becomes null, what action should it run? We already have one action named as action submit reminder form, which will eventually trigger that particular submission. Right here, you add this action, that's it. This is how the rule works. So if you want to add a story, it's the same thing, but stories are more dynamic in nature, rules are more constrained with it. So if you want to add stories, you can definitely add stories. But if you have a rule for the same story, let's say a goodbye, utter goodbye, so make sure to keep it same, or else it might create an issue. The responses can be used anywhere, but intent and response combination should be compulsory if you have used a rule. So let me give an example. If I use something like that, story, and then goodbye. Right here in the steps, in intent, if I add goodbye, and then the action can be, let's just submit reminder form, this won't work. This will give us an error. Let me show it to you directly right here. And by doing Rasa train, it will tell me that rules and stories have a conflict in between. Like right here, see? Oh, okay. This says something else because we had made a mistake. Required slots like this. Make sure not to add a hyphen there. It will first train the NLU server, or if I want to refer it more clearly, the NLU part, which is the intent, it will first do that classifier. So this is how the training works in Rasa. And by then the training is currently going on. I would like to give you a reference to another video which is currently on my YouTube channel, which is related to integrating with the website. So I'm really sorry if I'm not able to cover integration with website in this particular session. I would like to refer you to that particular YouTube video, which is I'll share the link with Emily, and she can refer it back to the chat so that you can have a look at it while you are able to do it. Now, in the stories, as you can see, there's contradiction found or conflict found between them. It says that action demand the submit form is present in goodbye stories, but in the goodbye rule, it says utter goodbye. So that's then what I was referring to when I said that the intent and action should match with each other. If I had just directly added like utter goodbye, it would have worked properly and it would have trained it. See. All right, if I am missing something, all right. So as you can see right here, we have some kind of stories, but those responses are not present in our domain because we just removed it. So that's the reason why it gave us an error. So let me just remove those particular stories and then train it again. So I'm showing you this all errors so that you don't get afraid of this while developing. That why it's showing me error, like I followed Dishant's instruction, but it is giving me an error like this. Yeah. We have one question in chat saying, do the Rasa Pro and Rasa X Enterprise use the same core as Rasa Open Source? Yes, they do use same core as Rasa Open Source, but there are more things added on into the Rasa Pro. I have used Rasa Pro a while back, around like few months ago, probably in May or April. At that moment, they were adding an LLM model. It was in beta, but I have used the beta version, so they are currently adding LLM models feature. I guess you can also use it. And also in the Rasa X Enterprise, they have a UI where you can directly add any kind of entities, or if you want to add some kind of training data, you can directly chat with it. Also, it shows you an analytics. It's like that. So yeah, the core is same, but there are more add-ons to it. Like if you can also use Rasa Enterprise to get 24 by 7 support from Rasa engineers, because they can help you with all the development purposes. And Rasa Pro also has some kind of customer support with it. So yeah, that's all the add-ons they have. But Rasa OSS is just like this. You can do anything you want with it. Right here, the model is trained and we can use it. Apart from that, let me show it to you how you can use the dynamic way of Rasa. So there's a GitHub where let me share that particular link right here in the meeting chat so everybody can have it. This particular Rasa HQ consists of Rasa and Rasa SDK. You can see this both repository right here. And go to the Rasa. You can see there are multiple files and folders. You don't have to worry about those. While you are contributing, you will definitely know how you can contribute it and what are the uses of those particular files. So in this Rasa folder, you can check and go through all the internal structure of Rasa if you want to dynamically change. You can see there are two different folders are Rasa core and Rasa NLU. NLU consists of entity extractors, classifiers, emulators, featureizers, selector tokens, and each and everything currently present. Core consists of brokers, actions you just saw it, and featureizers. Featureizers are not the featureizers which are currently of NLU. They are different ones. There's policies. Policies are used for understanding what is the context of the chatbot and also what has to be responded back, because right here you can see in the stories and rules are part of policies. The policies, if you want to refer it, you can definitely go ahead and check this is the policy. If you remove the rule policy, you cannot use rules.yml. So make sure to keep this rule policy if you want to use a rules.yml. Memoization policy helps chat assistant to understand what is the context of the whole flow so that the bot can understand and respond accordingly. So this is what I was referring to when I said how you can contribute it. There are also channels. Channels are consisting of messaging channels. You can definitely add any other channels which you would like to integrate here, or you can create one from using any of this code. So yeah. I guess that's all from my end. Emily, please go ahead and we can start with Q&A if anybody wants to ask any kind of questions. Yeah.
Yeah, if we have any final questions left to close out the meeting tonight, we would absolutely take some. Otherwise, it is our evening here, so I know people are probably getting ready to and get ready for the end of the day, get ready for tomorrow. It's 8 p.m. here, if you didn't know, Dishant.
Oh,
Thank you for
okay.
dropping your YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this presentation or you want to follow along with Dishant more, I would highly recommend checking out his videos where he dives into these topics. For
Thank
now,
you
I
so much.
think, oh, go ahead, Dishant.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just would like to add something. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in this videos, you can definitely check the website integration part, and also if you want to upload it on a particular cloud server, you can definitely check it there. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dishant. It looks like we're getting a lot of thank yous in the chat. So my guess is that people are going to start heading in for the night. But once again, thank you everybody for coming to the virtual meetup. We love seeing the community come out, get together, once a month online and in person when we have those events. And we were so happy to learn from you today, Dishant. So thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, everyone.